Now on Sunrise, assessing the damage, an update on the flooding and recovery in southeastern Oregon. Plus, an Oregon family just trying to get their loved one home. KGW investigates why her ashes have been stuck in the mail. Your news starts now. Good morning, and thanks for getting up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Libby Dowsett. All your headlines coming up in just a minute. But first, let's check in with Rod Hill in for Daisy today with your forecast.
Good morning.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Good morning to you. We have another nice day coming up. We did make it into the low 70s yesterday with all that sunshine. I do want to point out cloudiness, and we started to see a little bit of this late yesterday. You may remember the blue sky turned a little milky in color as cirrus clouds start to stream in. So there's still some question in terms of if those clouds will ever thicken up or not. I think generally it's going to be a partly sunny, very pleasant day. In fact, we can already see it's a blue sky over the summit of Mount Hood. If you headed up to the Cascades early this morning, 35, not bad, 35 degrees up at Timberline. Freezing levels will be up to about 10,000 feet today. And Portland out at the airport is 50, and this is because of a bit of an east breeze that is coming out of the gorge near the Columbia. But you get away from the Columbia River, and most of us are quite a bit cooler. 43 in Wilsonville, Sherwood's 39. Hillsborough is 40. You folks in Salem waking up to a temperature of 42. And here is your day moving forward. Generally partly sunny skies expected. Should be 60, 61 at noon. And I have us getting back up to 72 or maybe 73 for a high temperature. That's your forecast for today.
Thank you, Rod. In Harney County, new drone video from the Burns Paiute tribe shows floodwaters receding but leaving yards and homes soaked. The National Weather Service and NOAA says the level of the Silvies River, which runs right through Burns, is now going down. However, they caution additional snowmelt next week could be cause for concern. Flooding began in the last few weeks as historic amounts of rain and snowmelt started to overflow rivers. Crews have been able to solidify an overwhelmed levee in Burns with sandbags. And while some evacuees have been able to revisit their homes, others are still in Red Cross shelters.
Met some people staying in the shelter, and they are just completely distraught. They were not expecting it. And one day they go from staying in their house, and then the next they're forced to evacuate, and they don't know what to expect.
The Red Cross is also giving out kits for folks ready to clean up after the water retreats. One of the main access routes to Washington Park is now closed following a landslide in the West Hills of Portland. PBOT says the slide closed southwest Tickner between West Burnside and Kingston. Barricades are in place to warn people more rocks and debris could come down. Southwest Vista and Park Place are your best alternates. Friday saw another brutal day on Wall Street. The markets tumbling after President Trump made sweeping tariff announcements. In response, China unveiled 34% tariffs on imports from the U.S. As a result, the three major indexes all dropped about 6% Friday. It is the second straight day of turmoil, adding to weeks of declines, with investors wondering if this is the bottom. And it's not just big business suffering. The Russell 2000, which tracks smaller U.S. companies, dropped 4%. Even a surprisingly strong jobs report from March did little to help. Analysts say it's a snapshot of a rear-view mirror economy the Trump administration has now turned upside down.
I'd say buckle up until the president finds a way to take some of these tariffs back. I think we're going to have a bunch of really bad days in the stock market and even worse days in the economy.
Despite mounting concerns, including from Republican senators like Ted Cruz, the president is remaining defiant about his tariff plan.
It's going to be a booming country, a very booming country. It's going to be amazing, actually. We're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation.
JP Morgan analysts also published a research note titled, quote, "There will be blood." It raised the odds of a global recession to a 60% chance due to White House policies. Organizers are expecting hundreds of people to come out today to protest federal budget cuts, with more than 800 hands-off protests planned around the country. Demonstrators are expected to demand the Trump administration keep its hands off Social Security, protect First Amendment rights, and preserve important programs. The downtown Portland protest is set to start at noon, followed by a march in downtown Portland. Police say they expect it to be peaceful. More than 1,000 employees working for Clackamas County have voted to authorize a strike. The workers' union says the dispute is over retroactive cost of living adjustments. These employees work in the DA's office, the sheriff's office, technology services, facilities, and in health and veterans services. They're also asking for time off accruals that were more in line with neighboring counties and agencies. County commissioners say they're committed to figuring out a deal. Employees would need to give the county 10 days notice before hitting the picket lines. We turn to a KGW investigation. A local family left in limbo, waiting to lay a relative to rest. She died on vacation in the Caribbean, and they arranged to have her cremated remains mailed and tracked. But 2 weeks in, the remains appear to be stuck in transit. Here's investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi.
Happy birthday to you.
It was supposed to be a special vacation. Lisa Saracen celebrated her 61st birthday on a Caribbean cruise with friends and coworkers. But on March 6th, the Portland woman suffered a fatal heart issue while snorkeling in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands.
It was devastating.
Her family back in Oregon worked with a funeral home in the Virgin Islands to have Saracen's body cremated and shipped home. On March 22nd, Saracen's ashes were sent by USPS Priority Mail Express 2-day service.
Scheduled delivery by Monday, March 24th, 2025 by 6 p.m.
Nearly 2 weeks later, Saracen's cremated remains still haven't arrived. They're stuck in the mail.
We just want our family member back so we can move on through the grieving process.
According to the U.S. Postal Service, the cremated remains departed the Virgin Islands on March 22nd, arriving in Puerto Rico 1 day later. The ashes were sent to Miami on March 26th, then bounced around mail facilities in South Florida for 4 days. On March 31st, Saracen's cremains arrived in Aurora, Colorado, where they sat for another 4 days. Then on April 4th, they were sent to Denver.
Here we have the remains of a human person, and they seem to not care at all. She sits in a warehouse 5 days at a time before anybody deals with her.
Saracen's family has called the Postal Service repeatedly, with one customer service rep suggesting they go to the media.
The gal said, well, I'd be on the phone with the networks if it were my family.
Saracen's family hasn't been able to finalize funeral services, and her certified death certificate was also shipped with the ashes, preventing Saracen's family from wrapping up her personal affairs.
We can't even pay her bills and take care of her things.
In response to KGW's request, a Postal Service spokesperson wrote, "We extend our sincere condolences to the family and apologize for the unintended delay. Our team is actively working to ensure its delivery." A federal audit in 2023 found various problems at the Postal Service shipping cremated remains. Over a 2-year period, the audit found more than 45,000 packages containing cremated remains, or 14%, were delayed, leaving many families waiting for their loved ones' ashes.
Why isn't there someone designated to make sure that is handled with care? I mean, I could get shoes quicker than this.
The U.S. Postal Service is the only delivery service that allows the shipment of cremated remains within the U.S. and internationally. FedEx, UPS, and DHL do not accept cremains. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.